What do you think?
It threw me for a
They
loop.
threw us for a loop when we first, yeah.
I walked in and I'm like,
I'm good. How are you?
You texted Becky Jensen with her.
I'm short and
sweet.
sweet.
I was like,
I'm gonna try to remember to say something. Send her an email. I think you're here.
I don't think it looks like we are live.
Okay. Bobby?
Bob, we're waiting for you. Now we're waiting on you. We gotta wait on Troy.
He's coming through the door. Let's bring the meeting to order. To start the meeting. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our mission statement is connecting. What is it, Stephanie?
What?
Our mission statement.
Connecting, engaging, and growing.
I always get that order wrong. Ready?
I'm ready.
We're at consideration of agenda amendments or deletions.
We do not have any for this evening.
Okay. So it's time for good news around the district.
Okay, elementary. We have had a great start to the beginning of the school year. We have had several of our veteran teachers have gone into different positions, and so that has allowed them to help mentor some of our newer teachers. With that, it has also allowed us to collect data a little more quickly than we usually have, and so we already have interventions up and running, which we are very excited about because we are going to be able to meet our kids more where they're at right now. And then with the addition of Shelly Renbarger in our building full-time, we are so excited. She has been fantastic. She is working with our 4-year-olds as well as our K-2 kids. And so if you ever want something to make you smile, please come to the elementary and watch her with the 4-year-olds. It is awesome. She is just loving it. And so she has also started a Minds in Motion program in our building. And so that is just helping our kids with getting ready to learn. And so that program is also going well. So great start.
For EIS, we've had several compliments during Meet the Teacher Night about the new configuration. So several of those coming from 3rd grade parents who loved the lockers right outside of the classrooms, and a few that mentioned how wonderful they felt about their child being able to come right into the building from both bus and car rider line and get easy access to their classroom without having to walk through the building. We've also heard from teachers, even Mrs. Ellsbury, who thinks the layout is working very well and is suiting our students much better than the previous layout. We have had 5 teachers already in our 13 days of school who've received Panther Applause. That is something we send out to parents so that they can share all the wonderful things that their child's teacher is doing. So it makes our teachers feel appreciated. They get a certificate and they get a printout of the great things the parents said, and we post them on Facebook for some extra love. So that's great to have 5 already. And then just have to praise Bobby Haas. She has taken on this new language with both hands, jumping feet first. If she is not teaching a class, she is studying. You can hear her taking courses, which I did not ask her to do, but she is learning the language along with her kids. They are so engaged. If you walk through in the intermediate school right now, you will hear them using new words they're learning, their hands-on activities. I've just been so proud of her, and it's been a wonderful addition to our programming.
At the junior senior high school, the talks have been switching the bell schedule to the block, and Dr. Troy asked me, I think it was day 2, it was a good decision. It was a good decision. I've heard nothing but great things. What it's done is separated our junior high students from our high school students, and it's really enabled us to focus on areas that we can really turn the junior high in a more positive direction. And so, we've already been able to identify some areas to grow. We started those today. We met with each of the 7th graders today, just the 7th grade, and then we met following that with just the 8th graders, and really challenging our 8th graders, like, you're the junior high, you are the leaders of this portion of our building, and charging them with that. And so that's been great. Teachers are excited that the hallways, we don't have 650 kids moving at once. We have 200 and 400. And so it's roughly, that didn't add up to 650, but you get the gist. So it's been very exciting. We transitioned to that. We started with no bells as our new bell system was getting updated, and our staff, they set alarms and they handled that challenge very well, and our students did too. So secondly, our Marching Panther band, they finished in top 25 at the state band day. Along with that, they were at the rededication of the post office yesterday, and we had a ton of compliments of how they performed, how they handled themselves, and they represented us extremely well. And then our last one, he's here. Our pending board approval tonight, we have Mike Plank in the office, in the boardroom. He will be our new baseball coach. Again, pending board approval. Ryan, you want to introduce?
Yeah, Michael Plank, coming from Kokomo High School, led them to a conference championship last year, was coach of the year. So we are very excited to have him lead our baseball program to new heights, and we think he's going to do a really good job with that program. So we're really, really excited to have somebody like him. So welcome.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Yes, sir.
And at the Career Center, we are off to a great start too. First, our enrollment is up 72 students over our enrollment last year. Most of our programs are either at or near capacity. We have 14 students already out at internships or work-based learning experiences, and we already have our first certification this school year in our welding program.
ECTA is really excited to start the school year out. A lot of our teachers have went through training this summer. They're excited to use the things that they've learned in PD in their classroom. Also, a lot of our teachers have tested for the literacy endorsement for their license, and they've been passing the test. We haven't heard of anybody that hasn't, so that's another plus. So we're excited to use what we've learned this summer in our classrooms, and we're really looking forward to bargaining season.
Anything else?
I would like to just make note once again that we are live streaming this month. And so for our fans at home, welcome. And last month we did, if you notice the room looking a little different, it's because we flipped the room this month. Last month, the audio wasn't the greatest because we were back at the other end of the room, which was by the heating and cooling system. So we flipped the room so all of our fans at home hopefully can hear us better tonight. And then I also just wanted to make a note that we are getting ready to have here shortly after the consent agenda, we're going to have a preliminary determination public hearing. And Chad Bach, our board president, is out of town and not able to be here with us tonight. So Mr. Bob Savage is filling in as president. So I just wanted people to know that he's kind of jumping in at the last minute and filling in. So I think Bob has some experience being board president. So I'm sure he'll navigate us through at the last minute.
It's never enough.
So I think that concludes the good news around the district.
Okay, great. Thank you all. So we're going to start into the consent agreement.
Yes, we'll do the consent agenda. So the consent agenda includes the minutes from the regular and executive session board meetings that were held on July 24th. Our accounts payable claims total $851,414.79. And our payroll claims total $719,694.03. And we have a donation from Vintage Rollers for $500 to the junior high softball program.
And we received our cash flow statements, they're part of it.
Yes, yes.
So, any questions? Now we need a motion to approve the
So
consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. All right, that passes. Now, no old business,
No old business.
so we'll get into new business, and we'll get right into the public hearing.
Yes, yep. And then I have a script there for you, Mr. Savage, but you'll read the parts that say Chad Bach.
But they don't have a name.
I think there's some, I think you're mentioned in it somewhere. And maybe it's me that is recognizing you as Chad. So, but if you just want
Thank
to,
you, Mr. Bach. Okay.
if you want to open if you want to open the meeting,
Just play the part of Mr. Bach will be played by Mr. Savage.
there you go.
The next item on our agenda is the first 1028 preliminary determination public hearing. Somebody wrote it out in words instead of the number. I will now open the public hearing and turn it over to Dr. Friedersdorf.
Thank you, Mr. Savage. I'd like to introduce Chris Geisel from Barnes and Thornburg, which is our bond counsel, and Chris will explain to us the process and purpose for tonight's public hearing and other steps that will be taken as part of this project and financial approval.
Thank you, Dr. Troy, members of the board. Good evening. As was mentioned before, my name is Chris Geisel. I serve tonight as your bond counsel from Barnes and Thornburg, and we're grateful for the opportunity to serve the school corporation tonight and in these matters going forward. As Dr. Troy mentioned, I'm going to walk through the process to explain what's required with school corporations like Elwood Community School Corporation wants to proceed with bonds to finance a project. Pursuant to Indiana law, specifically Indiana Code Section 6-1.1-20-3.1, whenever the board proposes to impose property taxes to pay debt service on bonds or lease rentals on any project, the board's required to conduct two preliminary determination public hearings. And it's the two preliminary determinations to proceed with such a project prior to the board's adoption of any resolution making a preliminary determination to issue such bonds or to enter into such lease. So two preliminary determination hearings must be conducted prior to the board entering into the board's preliminary determination to actually issue that resolution. Additionally, a separate section of Indiana law, subsection 20-26-7-37 requires the board to conduct a public hearing anytime it wants to finance, construct, or repair a school building, the cost of which is going to be over $1 million. So overall, that's just a long-winded way of telling you that the General Assembly has made a clear intent to have a lot of public hearings, to have the opportunity for the public to be engaged during this project before we issue financing to support the renderings of that project. With respect to tonight's public hearing, we did provide notice in the paper. We also mailed notice to the county clerk's office as well. There's really two parts of tonight's public hearing. First, Dr. Troy is going to walk you through kind of an overall view of the projects and what the intent of the bond proceeds are to support. And second, my colleague Gary Smith over here from Reed Financial Group, your municipal advisor, will walk you through the debt analysis to support the financing for the project. After both of those presentations, the board is welcome to answer any questions, and then ultimately it needs to allow for public comment as it is a duly noticed public hearing. We'll then come back on September 4th. We have a special meeting that's been noticed at 5:30 in this boardroom to conduct our second preliminary determination public hearing. And we'll go through the process all over again. And then at that time, we'll be in position to present you all for your consideration a preliminary determination resolution and reimbursement resolution, which again is all, as the title suggests, all preliminary decisions to continue on with the process. After that point in time, it'll start a petition remonstrance period of 30 days that we'll wait out and see and provide notice for, and then potentially come back in mid-October to continue with the financing process. So, that's kind of a lot to digest. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions about the process. Otherwise, I'll turn it back over to Dr. Troy to give an overview of the projects and then to Gary to review the financing.
Thank you. We have been very fortunate over the last 2 or 3 years to leverage bonds to make some much needed improvements around the school corporation in a lot of different areas, but we still have areas that are untouched. Probably the main project, the highest dollar item that is going to need addressed here in the near future is the roof on the elementary school. We also have some different safety needs when it comes to elevator renovations. We are currently looking at doing a renovation for safety reasons, updating the high school elevator. We still are going to need to do the intermediate elevator. And so we have a number of those type of high level projects. We have one of the things that we're able to do this last summer was resurface the floors at the Career Center and strip them all the way down to the terrazzo, which we found is going to save us lots of costs in the future of not having to wax. It's going to save us expense in equipment, in materials, and labor costs to return those terrazzo floors to their original state. And so we're wanting to look at doing something similar throughout the corporation, which is going to be a huge cost up front, but it's going to end up saving us money over time. So we have just a number of those building improvement projects to do to, one, improve the safety of the schools, but then two, be able to operate more cost effectively moving forward. And I'll just conclude my part by introducing Gary Smith from Reedy Financial Group. Reedy Financial is our municipal advisor, and Mr. Smith will provide financial information regarding the proposed bond issue at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Troy. I'm going to pass out the debt analysis here. It has changed slightly since we last reviewed it, so I'm going to go over the numbers again. Here during this meeting. So we'll start with a brief overview of the analysis. We got the project capital list that was provided by Dr. Troy on page 2, and we've allocated capital based on 2 proposed issuances of bonds. So that'll be the first thing we go over. We'll do a quick constitutional debt limit computation on page 4, and then we'll actually get into the debt analysis itself and lots of the assumptions for the debt fund, tax rates, things of that sort. So jumping straight to page 3, you'll see the itemized list of capital ranked based on priority for capital. And out to the very far right in the middle columns, you'll see the actual estimates for those. And we also have the proposed funding source for the far right. So of the 2 proposed issuance of bonds, one was referred to as a general obligation bond. We'll go over what the constitutional debt limit for that looks like here in just a moment. And then the second issuance would be a proposed 2028 first mortgage lease financing. And I've highlighted which capital items would go in that 2028 a bond as well. So not pressing capital, but not as pressing as the 2025 GOP capital, essentially. So that's the capital list as we've identified them today. On page 4, this is the constitutional debt limit computation for Elwood Community School Corporation. It's the same computation statewide for any taxing unit of governments, 2% of 1/3 of your certified net assessed value. So right now we're sitting at $310 million of certified net assessed value across the district. Running through the computation, that equals about $2 million in overall debt capacity that we could issue in general obligation. So you can see it there at the bottom. We've got the proposed 2025 debt obligation of $2,065,000, which puts us just underneath that constitutional debt limit. I will say this is an incredibly common use of constitutional debt limit. communities all across the state utilized the general obligation structure to alleviate operating funds and to fund capital that could not or should not otherwise be funded within the operating funds. So very common use here in the state of Indiana. Page 5 is really what I'll refer to as a quote unquote rubber meets the road slide. There's a lot going on here, but essentially this is all of your property tax debts in one place. So starting off on the very far left, you'll see the 2025 projected column, the beginning cash balance, and as you work your way down, you'll see things such as the tax rate, the certified tax levy, circuit breaker loss, miscellaneous revenues, property taxes, and then below that we'll see the expenditure lines. So in the bottom part of the page, you'll see all of our outstanding debt service obligations, which include the high school HVAC, a building corporation lease in 2021, and a building corporation lease from 2023. Staying on that building corporation series 2023, you'll notice that our overall debt service levy for that borrowing goes from 1.102 million in 2025 down to 504,000 for 2026. And what that does is it creates an opportunity for the district to essentially fund additional capital, and allows us to do that in what we would project to be a very tax neutral way. So when we engineered this plan for funding the 2025 and the 2028 bonds, our goal was to make sure the tax rate would at least stay level and ideally actually fall over time. So up in the very far top, you'll see the yellow. I've highlighted the yellow because it's obviously the most important, which is the tax rate. The tax rate certified for this year, 2025, is 0.6975. So that's cents per $100 of assessed value on the constituents. For next year, based on everything we're proposing, we propose that rate will go down to 69 cents. So just, about a penny, but not quite a penny as far as, or I guess, just about a penny as far as what we project the tax rate would fall going forth next year. We did that with purpose because, as we all know, Senate Rolled Act 1 is leading to a lot of fluctuations in certified net assessed values. So one big factor with what happens to tax rates is what happens with certified net assessed values. So we're assuming that certified net assessed values will remain constant at 310 million throughout the life of this analysis. So I think that's a very conservative metric to look at. I know values are not out for Madison County yet. I just looked, but we are seeing anecdotally, counties across the state seeing somewhere in that 5, 6, 7, 8, 10% growth range amongst some of the counties that we have seen certified. So all that to say, if assessed values rise really at all, if assessed values really rise at all, the tax rate implications will actually be much less than what I'm showing. So I think this is a very conservative way to look at it. And you'll see down at the bottom, we have our 2025 general obligation bonds coming online at the $1.3 million in 2026, and then it starts to taper off thereafter. Now, after a few years, once we get to 2029, we'll be phasing in. We plan to phase in what we would consider the 2028 first mortgage leased bonds. And those would be about $450,000, and then they would ramp up over time as other debt obligations paid off and present you with more opportunity to fund capital later. The nice thing about this plan is statutorily, we can go out 20 years with property tax debt to pay it back. We're accomplishing this tax neutral plan with a 10.5-year payback on the first mortgage lease, which again, we can go out to 20 years. So again, we have lots and lots of flexibility with how we structure the 2028 bonds. Should assessed values do something crazy and the tax rate start to fluctuate, we can extend the term of that to really dial in what that tax rate is to ensure that we're under that 69-cent rate, which is right where we want to be. So is there any questions on that? I think that's the most important page so far, is the plan between how we plan to fund this. Everything else really just supports this page. It's further in the document. So hearing none, we'll jump to page 6. This is just a standard projected sources and uses for the general obligation bonds. We got the $1,985,000 of the $2,065,000 funding project fund deposit. That lines up with the capital list we showed you earlier. Page 7 represents our proposed schedule of amortization. We've got some very conservative numbers in there. Again, with the idea that we're going to keep that tax rate at least level, if not going down. So I anticipate pricing on something like this is going to look a lot better than 7%. We just use 7% to be conservative. I would fully expect, as your municipal advisor, my job is to make sure we get the best pricing possible when we go to price these bonds, that we get something closer to that 4.25% rate whenever we go to price these. And then page 8 is our 2028 first mortgage bonds. Similar sentiment there that I just covered for the GOB. Page 9 is actually what the 10.5-year amortization is projected to look like. And then if you were to go to page 10, you'll actually see what it would look like on a 20-year amortization, which is what we can do under statute. So you can see our max annual debt service on a 10.5 years around $750,000 per year. If we extended it to 20 years, we might be closer to $430,000. Again, so lots and lots of room to adjust that levy once we get up to 2028. And then the final 2 pages are really just supporting calculations. For the preliminary notice, there's a lot of different maximum not to exceed numbers in there. So page 11 and page 12 are really the supporting schedules for those max parameters that we put in this. So I won't spend any time on those necessarily, but that's why those are in there if you want to see maybe where some of those numbers came from. With that, the debt analysis presentation is concluded. If there's any questions, I'm happy to go back in here and address any questions at this time.
Maybe this is more a bond council question, but then we can make modifications very easily if we decide we need to change priority or do a proposal for the spending that comes up, right?
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
If the board doesn't have any questions, then Mr. Savage, we need to allow the public the opportunity to provide any comments or ask any questions about the 2 presentations.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Friedensdorf. I'm saying that pretty well.
Not too bad, not too bad.
I never practiced. At this time, does anyone from the public wish to ask any questions or provide any comments about the 2 presentations? If so, please step to the podium. I guess the podium is there.
And step up front so you can
Yeah.
get on, we can pick you up on the
Say
camera
your
again.
name, address, and your connection to the school corporation, if any, and then ask your question or provide your comment. And try not to panic when you rush up here. Okay, it looks like there's no comments. After no further public comments, we can. I will now close the public hearing and move into the rest of our meeting. So the public hearing is closed.
Thank you, everyone. All right, look forward to seeing you back here in September.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome to exit this way if you'd like, so you don't have to walk out.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
So now we'll move on to the normal parts of our agenda, which is the personnel report.
Yes, sir. So on the personnel report for new hires, we have Kelsey McCarty as a bus aide, Jennifer Schinnebarger, bus aide, Stephen Morales, substitute teacher, Mackenzie Swango, substitute teacher, Brandy Seibel, substitute teacher, Haley Bergerman, speech language pathologist, which is a contracted employee through Sunbelt, Riley Gillum, pre-K before and after care, Jared Nolan, special education IA, Caitlin Sherman, elementary cafeteria worker, Angelina Erblaw, pre-K sub, Ella Wiley, developmental pre-K IA, Caitlin Cole, special education resource IA, Harley Trueblood, intermediate cafeteria worker, Reagan Weishart, special education FAP instructional assistant, and then David Savage as a substitute for junior high business leave, and then a transfer, Brittany Gregg from IA to cover a substitute long-term maternity leave for 6th grade. And then let's see, I'm confused as to how this part got down here. Oh, I don't see, there are separations. Let me pause. Any questions or comments about the new hires or transfers?
There weren't any new positions, right? So
There were no
positions.
new positions created, correct. These were all current positions on the books.
Any questions? Doesn't appear to be any questions on that
All right.
section.
Separations, we have Nick Beatty, bus driver, Hannah Bentram, bus aide, Aja Durham, bus aide, Madison Quillen, special education IA, Caitlin Jones, special education IA, and Shane McCorkle, custodian. Any questions or comments on the separations?
No.
And then on coaching recommendations, we have Sammy Morales, head football coach, Kyle Richards, Jamie Jetty, Josh Frazier as assistant football coaches, Dominique Heater, 8th grade football coach, Gary McCray, assistant football coach, Mark Licklider, head cross country coach, John Kelly, head boys tennis coach, Will Daly and Tom Austin, co-head girl golf coaches, Courtney Licklider, head girls soccer coach, Brittany Gregg, volunteer girls soccer coach, Matt Minnick and Brett Held, co-head boys soccer coaches, Taylor Noon, head volleyball coach, Misty Garcia, Grace Rogers, assistant volleyball coaches, Jim Savage, 8th grade volleyball coach, Casey Nance, 6th grade volleyball coach, Zach Drell, head girls flag football coach, Tracy Johnson, assistant girls flag football coach, Macy Gerald, volunteer assistant girls flag football coach, David Savage, volunteer girls flag football coach, Jessica Savage, head cheer coach, Kathy Maggart, assistant cheer coach, Casey Tishner, junior high cheerleading coach, Alexis Pierce, junior high cheerleading assistant coach, Sylvia Sylvester, volunteer girls soccer coach, Michael Plank, head varsity baseball coach, and then athletic supervisors, we have Heidi Ellsbury, Taylor Sailors, Michael Karn, Tom Austin, Courtney Todd, Jim Savage, Jillian Reese, Chad Gibson, and Derek Johnston. Any questions on the athletic ECA recommendation hires?
I noticed there are 3 people with the last name Savage in the list, and I assume some of them, one or more of them may be related to me, but I'm not planning on abstaining because my conflict of interest statement lists them,
Correct.
and I don't want to have to, I want to vote for the other ones.
All right. Then I also have another addition. I would ask that the board approve for us to add a classified instructor position, and that we would add this as a classified contracted position in the event we are unable to fill a certified teaching position with a licensed candidate. And this has been discussed with the Teachers Association. This would not be used only in the event of an emergency when we are not able to fill a certified teaching position with a licensed teacher. And this would distinguish between those that are properly licensed and those that are not, and it would set this position at a salary of $35,000. And we don't currently have anybody to fill this position, but we're creating it in case we get into a need, so we can utilize it.
So would you be hiring somebody to be ready, or are you thinking that you'd wait till you have?
We'd wait till we have the need for it.
And is it a long-term contract? Or
It would be a long-term, it'd be for the teaching year, provided
Okay, so
that,
you'd contract and you'd be obligated for the full year.
correct.
So if we found another licensed teacher, we still have the obligation to this person.
Correct.
So that's the best, I'm assuming that's the best you can do. And that's why you're asking for it.
Yes.
Any questions?
Make a motion to approve.
This is approved and everything.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made second on the personnel report. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Brings us to the commission to advertise the 2025 bus replacement plan.
Yes, we have, we need to place a notice to the taxpayers for our bus replacement plan. And tonight, we're just asking for permission to place that notice, and then we will have the public hearing next month's board meeting.
Any questions? If not, can we have a motion to?
I will make a motion to approve the advertising of the 25 bus placement.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. So the motion carries. That brings us down to permission to advertise the 2025 capital projects plan.
And just the same here, we need to provide notice to the taxpayers, and we will have that public hearing at, I believe, the next board meeting. And so I just am asking the board for permission to advertise the notice to taxpayers for our capital project plan.
And most of those are also on the list for the bonds.
They were very similar to what we just went over for the bond hearing, correct?
Okay, can we have a motion to
So
approve?
moved.
Second?
Second.
A motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. I meant to say aye, sorry. Sure, getting ready to say the next word. Motion passed. Next is the permission to advertise the 2025 budget.
And once again, we just need permission to advertise the budget prior to the public hearing.
And this represents the work of Ivan.
Marvin.
Ward.
Correct. Yes.
With more work from Brian.
Right. But more work on Brian, but with Marvin's guidance.
Yes, that's a better way of saying it.
Yeah.
Okay, can we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So that also carries. Next item on the agenda is the superintendent contract.
Yes, I feel a bit awkward saying this, but if you so choose, I need a recommendation to approve the superintendent's pay increase for this school year.
$7,500.
Yes.
In the contract, there's no additional issue with the contract?
No,
itself?
because the contract was voted and approved back in 2022. And so in looking with, in getting legal counsel advice, that contract was approved. It was just never put in writing and signed. And so we don't need to approve that contract tonight because it was voted on and approved, but we do have the 2022 contract now that the board does need to sign should they decide to keep me employed. Otherwise, they can say, see ya.
Well, yeah, I thought that was the case,
Yeah.
but then we had to have some discussion about it, I
Yep,
guess.
yep.
So, we have a motion on the superintendent's contract.
So moved.
Pay raise.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. So you can hang around for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, that brings us, anything else from the board?
No, but I'd like to hear from Coach.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us a little about yourself and what you think about us.
So there's a lot of firsts since I applied at Elwood. First, I want to tell you guys I've never met Ryan in my life, and he's probably the best AD I've ever dealt with. So kudos to him, and that's not just because I got hired. I started my baseball career at Noblesville with youth kids working, and always dreamed of being a baseball coach. I didn't get to play college ball. I was a Marine, and got into high school at Lawrence North, my wife's alma mater, and I coached for a Hall of Famer, Richard Winston-Reed. He taught me something every day, and I knew his time was coming to an end, and I wanted to be a head coach, so I tried Kokomo, and Kokomo's a long way. I live right up the road. I don't know if you guys know where the McCord House is. Stansberry's live there, not too far off of 400. So right down the road here, I wanted to get closer. I applied for a few places, had a few offers, and I chose Elwood based on the panel that you guys had for the interview and the professionalism and the transparency. So I'm excited for this, but no matter who you hire, we've got a few coaches in the room. I'm not going to be able to change Elwood baseball. Okay, it's going to be the players, it's going to be the parents, it's going to be the community. So I just ask for your buy-in. I've never met a school board before, and I don't care to meet you guys again. So I'm pretty excited. A couple things I noticed. You know, the kindness the principal showed me and the Army Dad sticker I have on the back of my vehicle outside. I've got a son in the Army as well. So thank you guys for accepting me. And I'd like to introduce my family. My wife, Christy. My daughter, Clover. She's a freshman. My daughter, Brinley. She's in the 5th grade. And my little guy, Joey. He's a 1st grader. And I also have 3 boys. One of them lives here in Elwood, works at Red Gold. I've got the Army, obviously, soldier. And then I have a 17-year-old. So my kids go to Frankton. Don't change your minds on me. You know, we moved here and we didn't know nothing about this area. We just knew we wanted to get to the country from Noblesville, and so we did. But I'm excited to be a Panther, and I hope to get to meet you guys in the community. And I hope I can kind of turn some things around a little bit.
We're probably one of the least scariest school boards.
Say one.
We're probably one of the least scariest school boards.
Okay, good. I don't get scared too easy, but I just, you know, sports, high school sports is, you know, we got a lot of stuff to do inside the fences, but I think as a community, we can work on some things outside the fence too. And I'm going to do my best, but I'd like y'all's support as well.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Anything else from the board? If not, we'll just announce the next regular board meeting is 7 o'clock, on September 18th, here, right where we are now. Anything else?
That'll be right after fall conference.
You gotta take them all that vacation.
You need a motion to close.
Do we need a motion to close?
I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. So say. Thanks, everybody, for coming. No, I never get that. I brought him my own thing.
Yeah, you need to sign it.